Welcome to the 21st World Cameroonian Arts Awards on set. I am Sabrina Hassan, and today we have Kevin Field, the conductor of Art of Sound from Tutan Entertainment. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Good to see you, Sabrina.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Can you tell us a bit about the Art of Sound?
The Art of Sound we looked at it as a box of chocolates, something that's a little bit nutty, chewy, something for the brain, something for the heart or the soul. So Rojak in that sense. So we have something that was contemporary. We started off with the John Adams Short Ride in a Fast Machine. We then played the Ravel Pavane pour Enfants d'Enfants, and then we had the Bruch violin concerto with Nancy. Took an interval, and then I'm trying to think, what did we do in the second half? I think it was Sanson, followed by Stravinsky's Suite from the Firebird, and then we had the extra bonus Jacqueline Victor and the world premiere orchestral version of Glorious. So a mixed bag, a very entertaining mixed bag.
Right. How did you come about collaborating with Nancy?
We had worked on a project before, and we had the opportunity to make this special version, which was being released, and they said, is there a chance we can put it into one of our shows? And that was just about timing. So we thought, well, let's do it. Let's see. I don't think Stravinsky has ever been followed by a piece of music like that before, but that's how we ended our concert. So it was very much an opportune moment to do something very special and unique, and it's a beautiful arrangement. Beautiful arrangement.
What was the rehearsal process like?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I think some people are surprised when we say we start on a Monday or a Tuesday, and that first concert is Friday or Saturday, and we do 2 shows, and that's it. So the music is available to the players about 6 weeks before, and then they are there to rehearse privately and come prepared. They're absolutely ready to go on that very first rehearsal. And we do 3 hours each day of an evening and get that concert ready together, as I say, for either the Friday or Saturday shows. Very short, very quick.
Yes, so every musician has the responsibility of knowing.
Yes, they've got to come prepared, absolutely.
You do this really lovely thing where you speak to the audience directly. And
in my best English, yeah, maybe.
In your best English, but in this, when you watch an orchestra and it's all very, glamorous, and you've got all these musicians up on stage and everyone's dressed up, and then you come out very warmly talking to the audience,
down, yes.
introducing. But I think there, you create that connection with the audience, and is this something that you've always done?
Yes, I'm happy not to do it because the concentration required to do that and focus on the music is paramount. That is paramount. And I've been advised recently you should do more. But there is an element of the British humor is one of sarcasm and irony. So you've got to be very careful how much you say in that sense. So no, I do like to, if possible, especially with our audiences, many who come to the Tutan Festival Orchestra concerts, they are coming to hear an orchestra live for the very first time. And we have to be aware of that. Some people will be anxious about that, nervous. And so I'm there to help bring them into that, into a safe zone, if you like, break down that fourth wall, if you will, and hopefully make them feel comfortable with that process, because it is quite daunting. I mean, we have a big LED screen at the back to help those who need the visuals, but sometimes if you're going to a symphonic concert, you don't have that. You just have 100 musicians on stage playing fantastic, great music very, very well. And if you're not used to that, that can be quite a daunting experience. So I try and bring whatever knowledge, experience, anecdotes, the odd joke or two to ease the process, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's the connection with you and the audience, that you kind of create. But what about the musicians? And you also sometimes have a vocal group.
That's right, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you incorporate that? Like, how do you integrate everybody?
I mean, at one level, that's what the technique, the baton, the stick is for. So there is a technique that everybody understands what all of that is.
Right.
And then they have the data, they have the information. So with that, the technique and the information, and they know what they're doing, we're onto a winner to start off with. Everybody comes prepared. So the vocal groups that we use, the vocal groups that we've been fortunate enough to work with, they spend weeks and weeks putting that together, the repertoire together, bearing in mind that they're also doing their own productions as well. So they come together prepared, and we start with, they come in midweek. So sometimes we spend the first 2 days just orchestra alone, and then the chorus will join us, and then we have another couple of days together to work on those pieces. It's all done very quickly.
I'm just thinking, like,
we didn't have a choir for the Art of Sound. We didn't have the chorus. It was just, and I say just, it was Nancy.
Yes.
No, that's fine. No, please do digress. It was Nancy playing the Bruch concerto. That was a very special, very special thing.
And so with Nancy, how was it for the orchestra working with her? Because she's from America.
Yes, she
right?
is, yeah. So it is what we would say, it's seminal repertoire, the Bruch. There are standard concertos that most violinists and most orchestras play regularly on a regular cycle, and Bruch would be one of those. So everybody's familiar with it already. And then it's a question of matching the score, what is there, the customs and the traditions with what it is that Nancy wants to play and integrate. So she will come with her own ideas, and then we try and work that out and make a performance in, a couple of sessions.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a bit about how, what is that process like?
I'm there to support. Okay. So I will listen we would start by literally opening the score, and there would be passages which everybody, the soloist, the conductor, the orchestra knows. There will be moments that need special attention, and there could be areas where we need to slow down, speed up, stop, start, go again, all of the in and out of cadenzas, and we need to make sure we're on the same page before we even start rehearsing, so as to save time. Which way are you going to do this? Oh, I'm going to do it like this. Okay, maybe we think about this. So we premeditated to a certain level what it is we're going to do on a pre-existing text. And then it's a question of seeing how that works in the rehearsal, making sure we're all literally on the same page, in the same bar, not being so strict that we can't allow for spontaneity. That still has to be there, even though we have that score, that information. We still want to be fluid enough to make something new, refreshing and spontaneous for that moment.
And this happens on the Monday?
No. So the orchestra only on Monday, Tuesday to get through a lot of the other repertoire. The Stravinsky was an enormous piece for us to do. The first time the orchestra that orchestra played everything. The Adams, is Short Ride in a Fast Machine, is a short piece, and it's very fast, and it's only 4 minutes long. That's quite a challenging piece to put together. So even though something is just 4 minutes long, it can actually take quite a long time to rehearse that piece of music. Nancy came in, I think, on the Wednesday or the Thursday, and then we have half a session to look at that music and put it together, and then off we go.
Wow, that's incredible. Really
it's
fast
very
pace.
Quick. Well, that is the norm.
Yeah.
That is the norm. In fact, in certain cities around the world, you would probably only get one pre-dress rehearsal. You get 3 hours, then a session on the day, which might not even be 3 hours, and then the concert. You could even have a session on a Tuesday, but the concert's not till Friday. Yes, normally it's a quick week turnaround. And some orchestras will do 2 or 3 cycles, different programs in that time. So what we're trying to do, and what we are doing with Tutan Festival Orchestra, is giving the musicians that opportunity to work at that very intense high level, turn out the very best in a very short period, as would be experienced the world over.
Let's talk about sound, talking about the art of sound. Does the Tutan Orchestra have a particular sound? At
one level, I would say it's a fresh, spirited sound, and that's probably because of the age of the orchestra. On average is quite young. Most people would say now that orchestras around the world tend to sound a little bit the same. That's partly due to technology. Back in the day, even before when I was born, people would say, well, that's definitely the Berlin Philharmonic, that's definitely the London Symphony Orchestra. And you could tell that through the instrumentalists. Either it's the principal oboe, the principal trumpet, the concert master, you could get used to certain sounds and certain individuals. To some extent nowadays, this is a very sweeping statement, which will probably go out on the big screen maybe, it's increasingly hard to differentiate which orchestra is coming from where. Are they Australian? Are they Asian? Are they European? Are they American? I think you could probably tell an American orchestra from a European orchestra. Maybe the brass is a little bit more bright, a little bit more strident. But every orchestra is there to adhere to the score and those traditions. So if we want a Bruckner sound, if we want an Adams sound, John Adams, if you want Beethoven, then we go in that direction. And every orchestra is there to adhere and adopt a certain style of playing to help bring those 100, 200, 300-year-old pieces, or maybe they're modern pieces, just a year old, bring those to life.
You mentioned technology. So this year's theme is Collab Beyond, right? Collaborating with technology, looking at ways that we can improve performances with with the available technologies that we have. In terms of music, right? How can technology help enhance that orchestral experience?
It's a good question, because we are beholden to traditions which were established in the 17th and 18th century to some extent. So there are orchestras now which are using that technology. They will use images which have a direct feed to AI or some sort of app which will create and generate images dependent on the sound that's being played, and that's unique every single time. We're not quite sure how that's going to happen. So some orchestras are using 360 cameras and putting that into virtual reality, so that the audience can experience what it is like to be inside an orchestra and see the view from their perspective looking at the conductor. So those kind of projects are happening. At a more mundane level, we see more orchestras using tablets, iPads and the like to put their music on rather than have tons and tons of music. They're sitting, which is a nightmare for the lighting engineer, because you've got permanent LED light coming up. So that's something quite interesting. And when you're dealing with a concert that may be 13 pieces, instead of having a pile of scores like that, at least it's all digital in that sense. Yeah, there are things that we would like to explore more, and we'll just have to see how they go. I think, was it Coldplay? They did a whole thing with people riding on their bikes to generate power and green energy, that kind of thing. I don't think we'll ever get there, but we're open to and exploring new ideas. There's an orchestra in London that plays their concerts from memory, which contemporary artists will go, yeah, we do that all the time. But to get an orchestra, 70, 80, 90 players to play an entire concerto, overture, symphonic poem and symphony, to do that from memory, often standing up.
Playing from memory, that's just incredible.
Yes, for an orchestra to do that, that's quite impressive.
Lepris, is that?
Lepris is a Norwegian prog metal band. I strongly recommend them. Yeah, go and have a listen. Yeah.
So could this be a future collaboration?
Yeah, if we have the budget, yeah, maybe. Munkin.
Right. Thank you, Kevin, for coming and chatting with us.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on the nomination again.
Thank you.
All right. And that wraps up our conversation with Kevin Field from The Art of Sound, presented by Tutan Entertainment. I'm Sabrina Hassan. Thank you for watching.